America, America, make God thy gold refined, till all success be nobleness, and ever again divine. And you know, when I was in school, we used to sing it something like this. Listen here. Oh, beautiful, far spacious skies.
Hello and welcome back to Wayland Weekly Buzz. I'm your host, Ken Isaacson. To begin our fourth year of broadcast, we decided to interview the chairs of key town government boards to review summer developments and what to expect in the coming months. The interviews were with selectmen, school committee, finance committee, planning, recreation, and conservation. We also talked to opponents of the Cascade development at the site of Mahoney's on Route 20 and opponents of the Loker Field proposal on Route 30 and Rice Road. We'll get to those interviews right after these town government committee reports. And we have a number of snippets of information from various meetings. There will be a special election on October 2nd. Residents will vote on a ballot question that would completely ban commercial marijuana in Wayland. It needs a majority vote at the polls, and then the question will be voted again at special town meeting on November 13th. That vote to ban marijuana is required to complete the voting process. The town meeting vote requires a 2/3 majority to ban. The planning board has created 3 zoning articles which will be presented should the ban fail. They would establish overlay districts where marijuana establishments could be located on Boston Post Road, at Town Center, and in Cochituate Village. To make the process even more murky, we were told that should the ban fail, the selectmen could bring an article for an additional moratorium to further put off implementation. It's not clear at this time whether they would do that, but town leaders have been promoting the ban. In other news, the police chief has recommended that residents-only signs be placed on Lake Road Terrace. The decision will be subject of a future meeting of the selectmen. The Wayland Rod and Gun Club has agreed to release 2,000 square feet of its land to Verizon. Verizon intends to erect a cell tower on the land. Such tower would be outside the town's wireless district, which runs along Route 20 and is the only location that the town allows for cell tower construction. The parcel is also protected as chapter land, and Verizon's application currently before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Property owners must receive approval from the town by offering first refusal to the town before selling or leasing chapter land. Neighbors are opposed to the tower. 240B projects continue their slow drive through the appeals process in town. The Zoning Board of Appeals hearing for Cascade at the former Mahoney site is scheduled to conclude by September 11th or 18th. The final hearing date for the 24 School Street ZBA meeting is November 15th. It's not clear whether those dates will hold. For both sites, revisions have been made, but neither developer has reduced the number of dwelling units. Both projects are close to streams, and both are encountering strong opposition from both the Board of Health and Conservation. They're concerned with health and environmental impacts of the 2 projects. As you might know, Town Administrator Nan Baumer has ended his tenure as of September 7th, and our new Town Administrator, Louise Miller, begins her new role on September 10th. We wish the best to both. There will be a stormwater forum this Wednesday, September 12th, in the Senior Center at Town Building. to address new regulations which require most cities and towns in the Commonwealth to manage stormwater, similar to the requirement to manage drinking water. The Board of Selectmen and the League of Women Voters of Wayland will co-sponsor the forum. State and local officials will discuss what stormwater management is, its funding, and education outreach. Participants will learn what these new regulations will mean for Wayland residents and what steps the town is taking to reduce pollutants discharged into the Sudbury River. That program will be recorded by Waycam and will be available on the community channel. This fall, the Wayland School Committee will be holding several community input forums to hear from students, parents, and teachers on the various alternatives for school start times, ahead of a final decision in mid-November. The schedule of meetings and alternatives is posted on our website, waycam.tv/buzz. The Wayland Housing Partnership is currently working to update several town bylaws to allow residents with an accessory apartment in their home, such as an in-law or granny apartment, to gain some income by renting the unit or bartering it for services such as personal care or landscaping work. Once the partnership has completed its work, it will send the proposed bylaw to the Planning Board for a review and approval. Then it will go to a future town meeting for a final vote. At its last meeting, the Electronic Voting Implementation Subcommittee, called ELVIS, voted to reopen discussions of the feasibility of enabling town residents to cast town meeting votes from remote locations such as their homes. ELVIS is planning a meeting for this later in the year and to invite interested parties to explore technologies that might make this possible. And finally, the Metro West Regional Transit Authority wants user feedback. They're holding feedback sessions on 4 Wednesdays, September 19th, October 17th, November 21st, and December 19th. The location is 15 Blandon Avenue in Framingham, and the time is from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. each week. Their email address is info@mwrta.com, and their phone number is 508-935-2222. That information is on our website, waycam.tv/buzz. That's it for our reports. Now here's Susan with our guests.
Hello everybody, I'm your host Susan Wagner. Today our first guest is Lee Anderson, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you, Susan.
We'd love to know what's been happening with the Board of Selectmen over the summer and what we might expect in the upcoming autumn months.
Well, usually summer is a quieter time, but not so this summer. We had a lot going on. We selected a new town administrator who will be starting on September 10th.
Okay.
And her name is Louise Miller.
Okay.
So there was a search that was conducted. We appointed a screening committee that presented the Board of Selectmen with 3 finalists. We interviewed 3 finalists in early summer, and selected Louise and worked out a contract with her. The board signed the contract at our last meeting, and so we will be going forward with that. And in addition, we will be saying goodbye and thank you to current town administrator Nan Balmer.
Who got married recently.
She did, yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the Town Administrator Special Act that I think you've been working on over the summer?
Yes, we have been working on it, and Nan and I were on a Buzz program.
Yes.
And talked about it in some detail.
Right.
And what we had accomplished at that point was we had a draft of the special act from the Collins Center, and we had presented it to the town department heads and town committees. Although our presentation to town committees, we received input from about 5 committees, and there are many more than that. So
Yes.
the Board of Selectmen decided that the next step would be for each of us on the board to go out to our committees to which we are liaisons, and actually make a presentation and listen to feedback just related to their specific committee. That has been going on during the summer and continues. We will finish it probably in September.
Okay.
So once we do that, we will gather official feedback from each committee and have a working session to look at the Town Administrator Act, the Town Manager Act relative to that feedback. In addition, we want to have community forums so that we can hear from the community on what their thoughts are about this special act. We had thought about bringing it to special town meeting months ago, but realized that this type of change takes a lot of study and listening. So we are now aiming for annual town meeting in April.
I see. And what about the new budgeting procedures?
So as we looked at the special act, much of what it addresses 2 things. One is the budgeting process of the town, and the second is the reporting structure of the town.
Okay.
And as we looked at the budget process, we realized that it would make sense to have an interim step that obeys the current bylaw, because we can't disobey the bylaw, but that gets us a step closer to what is being proposed in the special act. So the town's finance director, Brian Kevaney, and town administrator worked to put together a budget process, a budget policy for FY20, and also a process with dates and specific requirements of when things should be submitted, so that it is a much tighter schedule, and that the budget that is presented to the Finance Committee will be a much better product because it will have come through vetting at the town administrator level.
And the reporting process?
The reporting process has to do, we can't do anything with that right now, but that's part of the special act, and that is to have the town side department heads all report to the town administrator. Right now, half of them report to their elected boards, the other half report to the town administrator. It is something that was recommended back in 1989 by the Charter Commission. Then it was repeated with the Maximus report. And ignored all the 3 decades later. Here we are with the same proposal, and I think that we are starting to make some progress.
Good, okay. Now, town meeting and special election, special town meeting and special election are coming up. What can you tell us?
Yes,
about those?
so the Board of Selectmen set a date of October 2nd
Yes.
for a special election. There are therefore going to be 3 elections in town this fall. One is a primary on September 4th, I believe it is. And then the special election on October 2nd with a ballot question asking the town voters to weigh in on whether they want to offer commercialization of marijuana in Wayland. So this is a different question than was asked before. The questions that the town has voted on before had to do with whether the town approved legalization of recreational marijuana, and that narrowly passed.
Yes, it did.
And therefore, if the town wants to consider not having recreational marijuana establishments, both for cultivation, manufacture, testing, and also retail sales, then because we voted in favor of legalization, we need to have a ballot question so the voters can come back. So this will just be a simple question: do you approve a ban on the commercialization establishments in Wayland.
Okay, and that's October 2nd.
Second. And then, of course, there's the state election in November 6th. That's a state election. And we were advised by council not to combine those. It makes it very, very difficult for the town clerk and the poll workers to manage several different ballots. And so we were advised to have a separate town election.
Okay, and then special town meeting is coming up.
Special town meeting is coming up starting Tuesday, November 13th, and possibly going to Wednesday, November 14th. So the Board of Selectmen voted to open the warrant on August 22nd and close it on August 30th. So committees and boards that have articles should be submitting those through the normal process through the town administrator's office.
All right. And all you viewers out there, the Wayland Weekly Buzz will be doing special programs on many of the articles destined for town meeting floor. So stay tuned. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, it's just a very active time
Yes.
in the town, and we will look forward to bringing the new town administrator on board on a moving train is what it is.
We look forward to meeting her and working with her. Indeed. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
Our next guest today is Town Planner Sarki Sarkeesian. Welcome, Sarki.
Thank you, welcome, thank you.
It's been a busy summer for everybody,
Yes, it
and I
has.
expect same for you. Can you
Yes.
tell us what's been going on in your planning office, your little planning office over the summer, and what we
Yes.
might expect coming up in the fall?
Yes, this summer, work continues to take, I'm sorry.
Talk to her.
Yes, this summer, work continues on the bike trail. Right now, they're getting ready to resurface the final layer.
I saw that.
They have all the rail in place, the fencing that's under construction. And they're looking at a completion date, probably the end of October. Right now, though, we would like to plan a big ribbon cutting ceremony.
Oh,
As you know, the Mass Central Trail is the longest trail in America. In New England, in New England. But this is a very important project for DCR, for the Department of Conservation and Recreation. It's a very high priority project. So the stretch from Wayland through Weston will be completed this fall. We received a grant to go west from basically the intersection of Town Center and Russell's, going west through the Wildlife Refuge. We received a grant from DCR to pay for the permitting and the design of that stretch. As you know, the issues in Sudbury still exist. Sudbury is still appealing the Eversource project because of the issues regarding some of the buffer areas that they have to go through. So that's kind of being tied up right now, but we're continuing with our permitting because we have a lot of permitting we do. We also have a bridge that needs to be replaced. So DCR is actually designing that bridge, and one of the proposals we have is we'd like to make that more than just a bridge, but maybe like a waiting area where people could fish, have their lunch right on the river. So it's really exciting to see this all come together, and as you know, Larry Kernan, who's championed this project, I can't wait to smile off his face. He's so happy.
He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah, so we're very excited about that.
And what else is going on?
Town Center,
Yeah.
just to give you an update on both centers, Town Center
And the Whole Foods
the
Plaza.
Whole Food Plaza.
Yeah.
They have one marketing company or real estate office that's going to handle the leasing, and that's Summit Realty Partners. I don't know if you remember Frank Norman. He actually lived in Wayland for years, very involved with the Whole Foods Plaza, who will now be the leasing agent for both projects.
Both projects, so we can coordinate.
So he can coordinate those. From what I'm hearing, there's been a lot of interest.
Oh, good.
They're trying to bring a very attractive restaurant to Town Center right now, some restaurant from the North End. They wouldn't tell me who it is, but it's exciting. We need to, obviously fill the space up, and with the big disappointment that Fresh Market's not coming at the Whole Food Plaza. I reached out to those folks, and it's unfortunate. They actually closed 11 Fresh Market stores across the United States. They expanded too fast. They didn't really follow their business plan. So, so it's just a disappointment that they weren't coming, because I think everyone in Wayland really misses having the Whole Foods plaza here right in town where you can walk to. So.
Right. And now that we're in that area, do you have any information on what's going on with River's Edge?
River's Edge right now, the wood parties is still doing their due diligence. I know there are some environmental issues that they're trying to work out right now from all those piles of dirt that need to be investigated because if there are high contaminants, it's going to have to be dealt with. So they're still doing their due diligence. Our town engineer, Paul Brickman, has been on top of that. He's been following that process. So that's all I can report on that. However, the waterworks seems to be moving forward. As you know, we received the MassWorks grant to bring water to that site.
Okay.
So hopefully that work is going to continue over the summer and into the fall, so that we will have a loop water main over the Sudbury River and eventually tie into River Road. So now we'll have another feed that will feed the town of Wayland. So that work is moving forward.
As far as affordable housing is concerned, we do have an interview set up with somebody to talk about the old Mahoney site, but what's going on with 24 School Street?
Both projects, it's been over a year. Both projects have been through the permitting, are still going through the permitting. I think the zoning board of appeals is getting very close to making a decision on both projects. Both projects have issues regarding drainage and in wastewater. And I know that the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health have been reviewing those plans. There's been some design concerns regarding the size of these structures, and both projects, like I said, are before the ZBA right now. But I assume that a decision will be made very soon.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, we've been very busy with marijuana, and we created a working and we've created a working group made up of health director Julie Youngins, Lee Anderson, chair of the Board of Selectmen. We had obviously the police chief, Wayland Cares was involved, and a member of the planning board. But we need to make a decision because our moratorium is going to expire this year.
That's right.
So what we're proposing to do is bring a series of articles. We're going to have 5 articles coming up for this fall special town meeting that deal with marijuana.
Okay.
One is and the Board of Selectmen voted to place a ballot question that will be done in October.
That's October 2nd?
That's October 2nd. So that, to ban, prohibit marijuana of all kinds of marijuana. Now, they haven't taken a formal position on that, just to place the ballot question. Okay, they, I think eventually will vote once it's on
Your
the
working
ballot.
group will vote.
No, the Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen.
So they just voted to place the ballot question.
Okay.
Then they'll be asked to make a recommendation on the ballot.
On the ballot, I've got it, yeah.
But, so that's one, so this whole process, so you need a ballot question, because we're a yes community.
Right.
And it only passed in Wayland by 67 votes. And 150 people didn't even vote on the subject, which is pretty amazing. Just left it blank.
Just not that
So we have that vote. Then we have the town meeting. Now, the town meeting, purpose of town meeting is if the ballot question fails, we still need to have a 2/3 vote at town meeting to ban it. So not only do you need a ballot question, you need a 2/3 vote at town meeting. Okay, so that's one article, zoning article. The next article would be to create an overlay district. Where do we want to allow marijuana sales in Maine?
If we do.
If we do. And that's been a difficult question because we've heard from residents, why are we even doing this? Why do we have to do this? It's a law. So we created an overlay district right now that we're proposing in, I call it Boston Post Road West. It's basically the further section on Route 20, right at the Sudbury Wayland town line where there's Maserati dealership, Herb Chambers. That's zone commercial. So we're proposing that district. However, the planning board, with 2 other articles, would like to create other overlay districts. Maybe we give people an option, one in mixed-use overlay district and then one in Contiguous Village. So that's 2 other separate articles.
Okay.
Right. Then the next question is, what happens if all of these fail? All of these articles fail, what do we do? The last ballot question will be another temporary moratorium out to 2019.
To the end of 2000.
Yeah, so that's the reason for all these articles. So
Okay.
it's been a process. You know, we had a panel discussion. It was well attended. We had over 70 people.
When was that?
That was back in June 5th.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, June 5th. So those are the articles there. We have a standard administrative article dealing with floodplain. We got to change our floodplain maps,
Mm-hmm.
and we need a zoning article for that. And then the last zoning article will be for pre-existing, non-conforming units of 6 or more dwelling units. So, and this is the reason for this article is Launch Your Way that we discussed.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Launch Your Way is the 12 units of federal housing that was built that basically bypasses zoning to build this military housing.
Yes.
That's being sold by the federal government to raise revenue.
Okay.
And we want to put a condition in there that if there's 6 or more rental units in the town, you need to seek a special permit.
In that project.
In that project, but town-wide, not just
Okay, I
that
see,
project.
I see.
6 or more units town-wide,
Mhm.
that you would actually have to go to the zoning board of appeals,
Mhm.
receive a special permit, but then you would actually trigger our inclusionary zoning bylaw so that we would actually be able to get units out of this zoning district, out of this proposed amendment.
What do you get?
Well, we have an inclusionary zoning bylaw. All new development in town,
Mhm.
if you have 6 or more units, you have to provide 16.7% of the units to be affordable housing.
I see.
So this would trigger that. So the
I
town
see.
at least would be able
To
to.
have 2 affordable housing out of 12.
Exactly.
Which reminds me, the old McDowell property on Oxbow Road has been sold, I believe.
Yes.
Do you know anything about that? That's a beautiful piece of property.
Well, that's where the Carroll School is.
No, on Oxbow Road. The Carroll School is up on Waltham Road. I'm talking about Oxbow Road.
Okay. I haven't.
You don't know?
No.
Oh, okay, you don't know anything about it, okay. Well, I guess that's it, everybody. We look forward to special town meeting. It sounds like an eventful one. Thank you so much, Larry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Hi, our next guest is Jean Downs, Chair of the School Committee. We'll be talking to her a little bit about what's been going on and what's coming up. So, what's been going on this summer in the school committee, and what can we look forward to in town for the fall?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Sure.
So the schools have been busy this summer. We've actually welcomed some new administrative staff. We've got a new assistant superintendent, Perry Graham, a new director of student services, Richard Whitehead, and Susan Botan, who was our business administrator, or is our business administrator, is now the manager of finance and operations.
Okay.
So we've got some new things going on up there. We've been working this summer, 2 main things that will carry on into the fall. One is the school start times. We've been for several years studying school start times.
It's been on and off, hasn't it?
Yes. And we made a commitment to make a change by the fall of 2019. So we're in the process of working on that.
So does that mean it'll start in the end, before September of 2019? Is that with the
with the new school year? Yeah. So right about September 2019.
Wow.
And we've made a commitment because it's in the best interest of the kids, that for a later start time for high school and middle school kids, just the research that's out there about sleep needs and that type of thing. So we've been looking at a couple different scenarios of when switching things. The administration's been doing a lot of work on vetting different things. There are kind of 3 drivers of the process. One are the buses, the bus schedule. That's a big driver because, right, the buses, we share the buses between the middle school and high school kids and the elementary kids. So we have to make sure the busing works. The professional development for teachers right now is in the afternoon on Wednesdays. We have a short day. And one of our options is to move it to before school, since school will be started later for the middle school and high school. And then the third kind of lever is just the envelope of the school day. You know, when it starts, when it ends, how can we make the most efficient use of that? So we're looking at right now the scenarios roughly would start school at about 8:30 for middle school and high school, and which is later, and move for elementary, they would start back at 7:45. We'd like to push it as close to 8 as possible, as we could, and so that's kind of what we're getting.
You know, it's an interesting point. I don't want to digress too much, but
Yeah.
when I was that age, when I was in high school, I had a long, I had an hour commute on the T
Yeah.
in Boston. And, but we started about 20 past 8. We had to be in our seats at 20 past 8 in the morning. So it's kind of interesting that it's been so early,
Yeah.
whereas in the past, it was in that 8:30 range.
Right, and it's swung very early, and now it's, many districts around us have changed or are changing their start times to later for middle school and high school. So it makes the end of the day a little bit later for the middle school and high school, so there are a bunch of logistics to figure out.
For parents too.
Yeah, for parents too. So we hope to make a decision towards the end of November, the school committee, on voting on changing the school start times and what that would be. And between now and then, we're still gathering some busing data and that type of thing, and we're going to have some public forums with the community and with the teachers, which we have had in the past, but we're going to do some more in the fall. So.
Speaking of the buses, is there any movement on the busing, on the bus location
Oh, the
parking
bus parking.
decision?
No, because we've been able to extend our time over where they are
Oh, at
right
River's
now
Edge.
because of the status of River's Edge.
Are
So
they still working on that alternative location on the south side of Route 20?
yes,
Is that looking good or is
um,
it too soon?
it is looking good, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But I think we're hopeful that when the time comes that we have to move the buses, that we will have that alternative in place. We're looking at 2 spots actually on the other side of Route 20. There's the old landfill, and then there's a Mass Highway Department of Transportation site right near there as well. So, yeah.
All right, so you were saying,
So that's school start times. The other main thing we've been working on that will go into the fall as well is the high school master athletic plan. So
that's the big thing.
that's a big thing. Some people probably remember we passed over that article at town meeting in April because
Sorry, 2 hours.
2 articles, right? Because we weren't, the cost estimates just weren't ready to go ahead with it. So Weston and Sampson, the consultant or the design firm, has been working hard and has actually just completed the design plans this past Friday. And they've been working with the permanent municipal building committee, and who's looked at the plans and value engineering them. And we are going to be going back to town meeting in November to hopefully approve funding for the project. And if it's approved, it will start again. It will start in the late spring, probably. Yeah.
I heard that the estimates for the project have gone up since the spring, is that right?
Right. Well, the reason we passed over them was because they weren't really good estimates. We didn't know several factors. One of the main ones was whether we might need to put in additional bathrooms at the high school, and
In the stadium?
yeah, in the stadium, right, and so that cost wasn't figured in when we came to the town in April. That was a big outstanding if. And we didn't know what kind of turf we were going to use at that point, so that was another big open factor. So now that all of those decisions have been made, we have more real costs, and so it is higher than we originally thought.
On the turf issue, what have you finally decided on?
We're going to go with synthetic turf, virgin from rubber synthetic turf.
What does virgin from rubber mean?
It is, it's a good question. I believe it means that the crumb rubber isn't a bunch of old used tires. It's,
Okay.
yeah, it is crumb rubber, but it's more pure.
And does that mean that you're satisfied that it's not a hazard type?
Well, so we asked the PMBC to look into that for us.
PMBC,
Sorry,
yes.
Permanent Municipal Building Committee.
Okay.
And I attended their meetings, and they did a lot of work in looking into what the positives and negatives were of synthetic turf. And they came out feeling that they didn't see anything that caused them to think that it was too harmful to go ahead with. And so that's the recommendation they made to the school committee.
All right, so we have the turf fields coming out and the other fields coming out as well.
Yes, so the project is, the stadium, and then swapping the softball field and the tennis courts. That encompasses the entire.
Those are the same, no, that's the whole project.
That's the whole
There are
project.
3 phases still, right?
There's still 3 phases, right?
Only 2
So
of them were brought up at town.
yeah, and those are the same 2.
That are coming back.
Yeah.
The third one is being held still.
The third one we hope to do in a year or 2, which is the baseball fields and the multi-purpose, the multi-use field in
You
the
need to
back.
clear out these other spaces in order to swap that in. Right?
Yes, and it was more money.
Well, of course.
Right.
That was a lot more money.
Right.
Okay. All right, anything else coming up?
Those are the main things, in all honesty. I mean, besides, we'll have budget season coming up, that we always have. But those are really the main things that we're looking at.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for giving us an update.
Thanks.
And hopefully we can have you back at a more full program later in the season.
Okay, great.
Look forward to doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
Our next guest is Asa Foster, Chairman of the Recreation Commission. Thank you so much for being with us, and I understand it's been a busy time for you. Got a lot of things to tell us. So what has been going on during the summer? What can we expect in the fall and beyond?
Thank you, Susan. It's always a pleasure to be on with you, and you are correct. There's a lot of things going on with Wayland Recreation. We have outside the town building field, which has been completed and will open for play in the fall of 2018, and we will clearly have it limited in terms of the number of events that we have because we want to make sure that the field remains in good condition.
Okay.
The Oxbow Meadows field is under construction right now, and it will open in the fall for play in the fall of 2019. The Dudley Woods walking trails are out for bid, and we expect construction of that project will be done in the fall of 2018 and will open to the public as soon as it's completed. Local Conservation and Recreation turf field, which is the old Dow Chemical facility, will go to town meeting in the fall of 2018. Construction documents will be released for bidding in the September-October 2018 timeframe, and if passed, we expect that the construction to begin in the spring of 2019, and it's probably a 4 to 6 month construction period. So we would hope that we would, if possible, we would be able to offer that and open for play in the fall of 2019. Constituent ball field is going to be, the infield is going to be renovated on one of the fields in the fall of 2018, and the other one will be renovated in the fall of 2019.
That's a very busy field. Every time
It
I
is.
pass by there, people playing.
Well, it's used extensively by Wayland residents for softball,
Yeah.
and also it's used for the Wayland Little League uses it, Park Water football uses it, or youth football uses it, and senior softball uses it.
Okay.
So it's a very, very busy field. Constituent basketball court has been resurfaced this month in August and is now open for play. Summer camps that Wayland Recreation runs are sold out this summer, and it served over 550 families. And all of these camps are licensed by the Wayland Board of Health. The beach, we had over 2,000 swim tests were performed, and we had over 3,000 members this year. And another significant event was the second annual Dad and Me Camp Out, which is held at Wayland High School, and that served over 250 families. The Touch a Truck, which is an annual event that comes up in September, that will be September 22nd. In the past, we have served over 4,000 people that have attended the event. We expect the same this year.
Wow.
So lots going on.
Sounds like Wayland's recreation needs are very well met. And,
Well, we hope so. It's, we work very hard. The department works very hard to serve the needs of the town, and we hope that we have the support of the taxpayers.
I hope so too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Asa.
My
Thank you very
pleasure.
much for being here.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Carol Martin, Chairman of the Finance Committee. Welcome, Carol, and thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Okay. Well, we would like to know, this is our first program of the fall season, and we'd like to know what you've been up to during the summer and what we might expect in the fall and beyond.
Well, of course, the Finance Committee's busy time is the school year period from the fall right through April, because we're working on the budget, and that's what we do. The summer is a quiet period, and yet we've been meeting and getting ready for the fall. So, of course, the first item we're working on and waiting for is the new town administrator, who will be arriving in early September.
Yes.
Because the Finance Committee works closely with the town administrator and her finance team to develop recommendations for operating and capital budgets. So that's the first thing. The other things that we've been working on is we are preparing ourselves for the FY20 budget, which seems like we're just starting the FY19 budget a month ago, but we're already working on the FY20 budget.
Wow.
And we have 3 items that we are going to be working on this year. And the first one is we're going to continue our focus on pay-as-you-go, which is that we will be recommending that we continue to not use free cash to balance our operating budget, that we will be funding our annual OPEB contribution with cash capital, which is taxation, and we will be returning all unused overlay funds to general fund, versus including them in the operating budget. The second item that we're going to be working on this year is we're now going to try to continue to move what we call small recurring capital items from the capital budget into the operating budget. And it took us 3 years to get rid of the free cash in the operating budget. I imagine it'll take us a couple of years to accomplish this goal as well. But currently, the police vehicles, the school computers, the AV materials, and some of the small things are already in the operating budget. And we will continue to move things like tiles, furniture requests, and items that are usually about $50,000 or less to operating budget.
From the capital budget.
Yes. And then finally, of course, we want to maintain our AAA rating with Moody's. This affects our bond borrowing, and we would like to continue to maintain that. And the way we do that is we need to maintain a 20% fund balance, which is 20% of our revenue in our in uncommitted funds. Fund balance is assurance, if you will, to investors that the town is capable of handling any and all emergencies should an unforeseen emergency arise. In other words, we're supposed to be very solvent.
Right.
And sources of uncommitted funds are free cash, the stabilization funds, the ambulance receipts, and the uncommitted and the CPC, and there are others. But to give you an idea, fund balance, 20% fund balance of an $80 million budget is $16 million.
That's a lot of money.
That is, and as our budget increases, so does our fund balance need to increase in order to maintain the 20%. So when our budget increases to, for example, to $85 million, we would need $17 million in our fund balance. It's a huge balance issue, if you will, and it's one we are working to maintain.
I wish I had that in my bank account. For unforeseen emergencies.
And I think
That's it.
I think so.
All right. Well, we look forward to hearing about all of your activities in the fall and the spring as you move towards the new budgets and the new town administrator and so forth. So
Yes.
thank you very much for being here. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Our next guest today is Mark Hayes, a Wayland resident who's the co-founder of ProtectWayland.org, which was founded initially to focus on the Cascade Project, a 40B undertaking at the former Mahoney site on Route 20. So, Mark, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Can you tell us just really very quickly what ProtectWayland.org is, how many members you have, and what your goals are?
We were founded or brought together by the Cascade 40B project on Route 20 at the former site of Mahoney's Garden Center. because of concerns about the size of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the group is also very interested in affordable housing in an appropriate scale. So if this proposal is shot down, then we'd like to see something go in there that's 100% affordable
Oh, I see.
at the appropriate size.
And how many members do you have?
About 300 members currently
From all over town?
from all over Wayland.
And what precisely can citizens and town boards do to restrain 40B projects that are considered inappropriately scaled, let's say?
The 40B law was written by developers for developers, in our opinion, and wrapped in this affordable housing positive message. So it's very difficult to oppose, frankly, a 40B project. You need to raise a lot of money. You have to really hire an attorney, environmental experts, water quality experts, that kind of thing. And we've been fortunate to be able to do that. So when you bring substantive issues, not just arguments, but evidence, that's what you need this double 40B.
And you were saying, I think that is safety and health issues are considered substantive issues?
There are two key issues with this project. First is public health and safety. The Zoning Board of Appeals has to balance affordable housing and statewide interests against the health and safety of local residents and the people in the project. The second key issue is environmental. Pine Brook runs right through this property, and Fisheries and Wildlife, Massachusetts Fisheries and Wildlife, said that this is the #1 stream for endangered eastern brook trout, native eastern brook trout in the entire Boston Metro West area. So it's a very unusual resource.
That is an unusual resource. Well, can you tell us what you've been doing this summer, and what are the issues, where they stand, and then perhaps give us a timeline out into the fall?
Sure. It's been a busy summer, despite all of the vacation time, etc. First key thing that happened, and there are 5 key things that I'd like to mention. The first is that Mr. Zeef decided in June,
and Mr. Zeef
is the developer behind 40B.
Yes.
He decided not to deliver a flood zone study.
I see.
Now there's a FEMA high-risk flood zone on this site, but they don't have the data. So a flood zone study is required under federal, state, and local law. And he promised to deliver a flood zone study so we know where the flood zone is, etc., back in December of 2017. And said he would in January, said he would in February. Now suddenly in June said it's not required and I won't deliver. So that's a major issue because 2 key things. The YMCA Camp Chickamee is just a short distance downstream, and they've already had flooding problems. So the YMCA is very concerned.
I see, of course.
The risk to the children. And then the risk to the stream, because floods damage streams. And this is the #1 stream for eastern brook trout. We need to know what kind of flood zone impact there would be, and Mr. Zeef is refusing to do the flood zone study.
What's the next issue?
Well, he delivered a hydrogeo study, and a hydrogeo study is very complicated. Computer modeling of the impact of the water from the large septic fields. It's over 4 million gallons a year on that small site right next to Pine Brook. So they ZBA required a hydrogeo study that models what happens when all of that water comes in and where does it go.
Yes, of course.
And he delivered that finally in June, very late, but it's here. So we did an analysis with our experts of that, found that all of the data used in the study is invalid, fatally flawed, the model is not set up correctly, and they didn't include the major section in the report required by the ZBA. What will the impact be on Pine Brook? It's not in the report. So our experts and Protect Wayland and the town's experts have sent questions to Mr. Zeef asking, are you going to deliver a new report? Are you going to fix these problems? We haven't heard any response. And we're now approaching the next hearing on September 11th.
Okay, that's okay. Problem with issue number 3?
Well, it's not just Protect Wayland that's concerned about this. I've already mentioned the YMCA. They sent a very strong letter in June to the Zoning Board of Appeals opposing Cascade 40B because of the threat to Pine Brook and to the YMCA Camp Chickamee. BORS, which is a leading environmental group in the whole state, Aspet and the Sudbury Rivers, sent another letter in June, again opposing it for all the environmental reasons. Yeah. And Trout Unlimited, Greater Boston Trout Unlimited, sent another letter to the ZBA in June, again opposing the Cascade 40B because of the damage to Pine Brook and the trout population. So it's, what I'm trying to show is that there are statewide organizations that are opposing this in addition to the tech league.
And okay, issue number 4.
Well,
on here.
the next big hearing, and it may be the last hearing, is Tuesday, September 11th, right here in the town building in the main hearing room. And we will present all of the questions about Mr. Zeef's hydro-geo study. We'll present the need for the flood zone study, and we sure hope as many people from Wayland can be here to see that as possible.
All right. And you said there was a 5th issue?
We wanted to say thank you to our Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay.
We have one of the sharpest Zoning Board of Appeals, I think, in the state, with a bunch of really sharp attorneys and experts. They've spent, at this point, almost an entire year of their volunteer time waiting, listening, asking questions. They've been a very thorough process, so Wayland should be proud of their ZBA.
Okay, so you have a meeting on September 11th. What you said the meeting, the last hearing, meaning what? I mean, or is there a timeline out beyond that, or do you think that this may put the kibosh on the project entirely? Is that what you were saying?
Well, 40B hearings are only supposed to last 180 days, half a year. So we're now about twice the length of a standard 40B hearing due to the delays in delivery of information by Mr. Zeif. So this could be the very last hearing, unless there's an agreement to extend it again because of all of the questions and unanswered issues.
And if it is the last hearing, that means the project is just, that's it. It doesn't happen.
Then the hearing is closed and the ZBA goes into deliberations and issues their ruling.
All right. What would you like to see? What is your desired outcome of that property? What would be your desired outcome?
Property is frankly too small to do a very large development of any kind because of Pine Brook cutting the backside of it. So it would be ideal for a smaller, 100% affordable apartment building, and that would also allow us to have a walk path over the bridge to connect the rail trail to the trail on the other side along the aqueduct. And the area up there needs a little children's playground. That would be ideal. It doesn't have a big impact on something like a stream, like a septic system. But so it's a good site for the right thing.
When you say a small 40B affordable project, how many units are you talking?
We've talked to experts and they say about 12 to 14 units somewhere.
There's 4 acres here, there are 4 acres there.
4 acres approximately they're building, yes.
Well, everybody, please try to come out for the September 11th hearing. And Mark, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We appreciate it.
That's the buzz for this week. Next week, host Susan Wagner will interview members of our health department discussing 2 important health issues. The first is important to the town's health, the importance of fixing failing septic systems. The second is about our personal health, new developments with the town's flu shot program, and new shingles vaccines. The buzz airs on Sundays and Tuesdays at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. on your public cable channel and online on demand anytime at our website, wacam.tv/buzz. There you'll find an archive of past programs and a schedule of upcoming shows, along with links to documents from subjects presented on the shows. And our committee reports appear weekly in the Town Crier, both in print and online. If you have a town issue you'd like discussed on the Buzz, call us, email us, or use the contact form on our website. Tell us what's on your mind and what you think about the show. I'm your host, Ken Isaacson, on behalf of the entire volunteer crew and guests here at Wayland Weekly Buzz. Thank you for watching. Please tell your friends to tune in too.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. 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 What should you want to know?